Hey everyone, Christian here, and one of the most often asked questions on the vlog or through email is what palms can I grow in my climate? So this is actually the topic of the book that I am currently writing about what palms can you grow in your climate, or growing palms in your climate is going to be the actual title, I believe. So the best way to determine this just right off the bat is to look at what is currently growing. So here we have the obvious native Sable palmetto, but then next to it we have 3 or 4 Veitchia growing. That's probably a mixture of Veitchia ericina and Joannis, because we have some leaflets up here that are kind of wavy, and then we have some that are pendant. That's more Joannis, that's more ericina. That could just be hybrids, and no one would ever know really, unless you did some genetic tests. So if we drive around, you can look for little markers in the neighborhood. So say you want to try and grow a coconut. The best thing to do to see if a coconut will grow in your area is to see if there's any other coconuts growing in the area. So we can see here there's lots of palmettos, lots of pygmy dates here. We have a queen or two, although it looks like it needs a little bit of manganese. We have Bismarckia. We actually have Phoenix rupicola right there, a cliff date palm, foxtails. I'm just going to rattle through all the species I see. And then if you coming up on, well, when we turn left here, or it'll curve to the left, you'll see a few coconuts here. And if you see a lot of a plant and they're mature and they're looking nice, usually that's a good sign that that palm is hardy to your area. And when I say a palm is hardy to an area, I mean that it can grow without protection, grow up to an adult, and produce mature fruit. And then therefore continue growing, and can basically start to regenerate or make a second generation of plants. And so you see these species growing in your area, and okay, well, these are little markers. So for example, coconut's a marker of a solid zone 10. So is a Veitchia. A foxtail is going to be like a solid 9B. Queen's like a solid 9A at the very least. Pygmy date's more of like a 9A, 9B. So you can see how these palms grow and see if they're old. Like these true dates here are actually pretty old. They've been here for 15 years before they were planted, and so they are quite the quite the nice looking statuesque palm in Venice. And so driving around, we're not in Miami. In Miami, you would see coconuts everywhere. And so if you don't see a lot of a certain species, there may be a few reasons. One is it might not be that hardy to this area, or they may have, in the past, they have died and people have not replanted them. And that happened in Venice. About half of the coconuts died here in 2010, 2011. You can see some more on your left-hand side. But these all survived those freezes. And I would say that coconuts are hardy to Venice, in the sense that over the long term you should be able to grow a coconut to maturity, and I've germinated plenty of coconuts from Venice. Date palms one interesting thing about dates is that sometimes these fruits will ferment, and they will not often be viable because they actually rot before you can get them off of the tree, or the plant. But seeing mature foxtails seeding, seeing mature coconuts, producing viable fruit, and as you may have seen, there's been plenty of royals in these vlogs that I've had in Venice. I'm trying to go through some of the more diverse areas in downtown Venice, and obviously queens are very hardy. They're everywhere. And here's actually some more coconuts. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to tell, like say a coconut is hardy or producing viable fruit, because they often will cut off the bracts, and there's a few coconuts on there, but they're probably going to chop those off for insurance purposes. But if you see a palm with plenty of ripe fruit on it growing in your neighborhood, then it's definitely hardy to your area. I mean, they didn't, unless there's like it was just planted for 1 year, and it just been planted, say, in the past few months, and just decided to produce seed that year. I mean, that's the only exception, but that'd be quite rare. So you want to see it, sometimes after some big freezes or cold snaps, go out and take a look around, know where the most sensitive palms in your area is, and also knowing certain things about if, like, say if palm A will grow somewhere, so will palm B. So for example, if a royal will grow, I'm sorry, if a foxtail will grow somewhere, then a royal will also grow in that same climate. It's a good rule of thumb. If a vicia will grow somewhere, then a coconut will. This is a pretty good rule of thumb. Or if a latania, for example, which is a relative of Bismarckia, will grow somewhere, so will coconut, as they have almost identical climatic requirements. And and then you'll see some of the stuff that's, you know, relatively obvious. We have pretty much nothing but sables and Washingtonias here, and those are obviously hardy to a zone 10 climate, even though this is more of like a lower zone 10. So we're gonna go down one of these main streets here. This is Miami Avenue. There's 3 like main streets: Miami, Venice, and Tampa. It's kind of like the midway between Miami and Tampa. That's how they made downtown Venice. So you can see the Royals here, and those are definitely hardy, even if they look like crap at the moment. And you know, coming down here, you can see they actually replanted everything in all these Washingtonias here. I think to keep this kind of look of like what I call the Beverly Hills look. And you know, it looks nice. It has that tall kind of like old feeling that this has been around for a while. And up here, you know, another thing is, you know, if you can grow adenidias, you can grow tachyspermas. Those are tachyspermas there, and then adenidias on the other side with a tachysperma there. You know, you kind of have these groupings of palms that are equally as hardy to one another, like foxtail, royal, queen's a little bit less, a little bit more hardy. But then you have like coconuts, latanias, tachysperma, adenidia, kind of are all grouped in that one little area, that where you can say if one of these palms grow, then all of these palms will grow in the same area. That's what I've kind of noticed for these plants, and I think that it's pretty, you know, it's a pretty good rule of thumb. I don't know if everyone can see these Phoenix here. They're all a bunch of hybrids, and I couldn't tell you. I mean, they're Canariensis hybrids, but there's a little bit of I see some Sylvestris in some, and some Rupicola, which is a cliff date palm. I haven't done a vlog on that yet, but let me center that there. And we're gonna make a little U-turn so we can go down this main. This is kind of like the main north-south road besides 41 here on the island in Venice, and we can kind of go down and see. These are all. Sorry, these are sounded like I'm from Massachusetts. These are all old neighborhoods. These houses have been here since the 50s and 60s, and you know, they can tell us a lot. You know, there's a little foxtail there. It looks a little malnourished, but going down these roads, you can see what people have tried and what people have, you know, had growing very successfully. And you know, there's royals here in the median. They've been here for a while. Even if they're in bad shape, they're just malnourished. They're not suffering from cold damage or anything like that. But let's go to a little bit more of a palmy location here. By the beach sounds like a good idea. But so, you know, people often go with the safest of palms, which is stuff like palmettos and queens and phoenix, which are becoming less popular in Florida as they do suffer from more issues than most palms, like Ganoderma, Fusarium wilt. I made probably my most hated video by subscribers about 4 reasons not to grow Canary Island date, and you know, I got the hate, but I was trying to tell the truth there. You can see Bismarckias and then Butias, obviously. Also, if you can grow a Bismarckia, then you can also grow a queen. It's kind of a good rule of thumb. Then you can see a lot of, you know, Dipsis lutescens, and that's another sign of, like, if you can grow lutescens, then you can also grow foxtails. They kind of are in that grouping of royals, lutescens, foxtail. So they're kind of like the 9B group, so to speak. And you can see more Bismarckia there. And pygmy dates will also be in that foxtail lutescens thing, although they're a little bit hardier. So, you know, going down, checking out, seeing, you know, what's growing in your area. You know, ask some other collectors, you know, what if I want to try this palm, you know, is it, you know, will it grow here? You know, for example, I don't see a lot of latanias growing here. There are some, you know, and if you can grow also in that whole coconut complex, add, you know, bottles. And spindles are a little bit hardier. They could be more in that foxtail complex. So that can give you an idea of like what will grow in 10A, what will grow in 9B, what will grow in 9A. and that can change depending on your humidity, your rainfall, winds, that sort of thing. But here we see a lot of buteas. These were probably planted in a time past, but they're beautiful. They're old. They're nice looking older palms that give an idea of like what would have been planted back in the late 20th century. So and here's a bunch of lutescens with foxtails, kind of like all planted in sort of the same bracket of climatic requirements. And I'm gonna take a little turn here, get back to, I'm gonna go by the airport. Actually, Venice Airport is actually pretty well known for a bad reason. I'm not gonna really talk about it in this vlog. You can look it up if you like. It's not really pertinent to this vlog, but this is Venice Municipal Airport. Kind of a cool little place, very nice area. And then again, this is a government-owned facility, so if you see if you see palms growing, if you see what's planted at government buildings, then that's a good sign of like, okay, yeah, that plant's going to be hardy here, because they wouldn't waste their taxpayers' money for the. I mean, I've seen some pretty bad examples, but for the most part, governments in the counties will not push zones on what they can grow. So, there are pygmy dates there. I could drive all the way to the Venice Courthouse, South County Courthouse, and there's Phrynex radiata, the Florida thatch palm. Does all right. It's it's more of like a high 9B, more in that foxtail category. And I'm probably not going to get a whole lot more as far as variety of species. But if you get the general idea, what'll grow in 9A, the whole queen complex with the others I mentioned, the 9B complex with the royals and foxtails, and the others I mentioned as well, and the 10A with the Adenidia, Latania, coconut, Vicia kind of complex. Those are kind of like some of the most popular subtropical zones. When you're in zone 11 and it's a rainforest, you can grow almost anything. In fact, one problem is you got to keep things dry. That's the only palms that really won't grow well. For example, in Hawaii, some of the hardest to grow palms well are plants like Pseudophoenix, Copernicia, Coco Phrynax, because they like to have a dry season. They like to have a lot of sun and heat at times. So they're not as popular over there, and understandably so. So anyway, that's going to be about it for this vlog. I don't want to make this too long and drawn out, but I kind of did a big circle here. I'm actually back to where I started this little neighborhood with the coconuts here. So hope you enjoyed the vlog. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. You'll see many more reviews discussing palms and other tropical plants, and reviewing them. And hit that bell notification. I do go live quite a bit to discuss palms and other plant things on a relatively regular basis. If you have any questions about hardiness zones and clumpings of palms to kind of determine markers, I'll leave them down below, and I'll get back to everyone as soon as possible. And thank you for watching.